Today, HBO officially announced that the Last of Us series has been renewed for a second season. And this season 1 is based off the first game. Season 2 would obviously based off the second game, which very controversial. I am not a fan, to say the least. So I probably won't even be watching the second season, but I am enjoying the first season so far. But if they don't make any changes, it's funny because you want them to stay as faithful as possible to the first game, but many people want them to be as, I guess, non-faithful as possible to the second game. They want a lot of changes for that one. And normally for video game adaptations, they suck, and people always complain that they're not faithful. So it's an odd situation. And people have been saying that this is a faithful one-for-one adaptation, but it really isn't. If you actually kind of pay attention to it, there's been a lot of changes, minor and major. They've gotten rid of the spores, they've changed some of what happens. Like in the show, there's spoilers, by the way. I guess, I don't know if a lot of you really care, probably played the first game, but a couple of changes they made. One, the guns deal with Robert in the game. In the game, the deal with Robert is for guns, and in the TV series, they change it to a car battery because they want to go find Tommy because he hasn't responded in a few weeks, which is completely different from the game. That never happens. And another one in the second episode, they changed Tess's death. While she does go out trying to protect Joel and Ellie after getting bitten, it's not Fedra that is trying to chase them down this time, it's zombies. She pours a bunch of gasoline on the floor and uses a lighter to light it up, and actually, the lighter is the one from Uncharted 4, Sam's lighter, if you didn't know, which is an interesting touch. And they've also gotten rid of the spores. I'm not sure if I mentioned that already, might have, but they changed it to mycelium connection, so if you do something to one zombie, it can alert a bunch of others. That's what happened. And they did that because they didn't want to use the gas masks in this. So it's really an unnecessary change. It was interesting, but it was unnecessary. I think it's just one of those things where they don't want to cover the stars' faces, like they do in Marvel, always taking off their masks. Just unnecessary. And we know there's also plenty more changes to come, and I'm very nervous of how they're going to treat the ending. So I'm still very cautious going forward for this season, let alone the second. But let's get into this article titled HBO's Last of Us has officially been renewed for a second season. This is from Video Games Chronicle. Co-creator Neil Druckmann, spelled Neil wrong already, says he's humbled, honored, and frankly overwhelmed by the response. I'm humbled, honored, and frankly overwhelmed that so many people have tuned in and connected with our retelling of Joel and Ellie's journey, said game director and executive producer of the show Neil Druckmann in a statement. Collaboration with Craig Mazin, our incredible cast and crew, and HBO exceeded my already high expectations, he added. Now we have the absolute pleasure of being able to do it again with Season 2. On behalf of everyone at Naughty Dog and PlayStation, thank you. Druckmann's fellow executive producer, Craig Mason, also commented, I'm so grateful to Neil Druckmann and HBO for our partnership, and I'm even more grateful to the millions of people who have joined us on this journey. The audience has given us the chance to continue. And as a fan of the characters and world Neil and Naughty Dog created, I couldn't be more ready to dive back in. HBO claimed earlier this week that the second episode of Last of Us saw record growth in terms of viewing figures from the show's debut. The second episode of the adaptation aired on Sunday night in the US, where it attracted 5.7 million viewers, up 22% compared to the first episode. I had not seen those numbers yet. That is interesting. Not surprising necessarily, but interesting. This marks the largest Week 2 audience growth for an HBO original drama series in the history of the network, the company said on Monday. I think the first might have been House of the Dragon. In a recent interview, Naughty Dog co-president Neil Druckmann hinted that a potential second season would cover The Last of Us Part 2, and that Naughty Dog may have plans for a third entry in the series. So again, Last of Us Part 2, don't like it, and not interested in another adaptation of it, unless it's changed drastically. and it is improved a lot. So this announcement is good news for some who like Last of Us Part 2, but for a lot of others, it really isn't, unless they change it. And then talked about this may have plans for a third entry in the series, but also may not. Who knows? I just struggle to figure out what they're gonna do for Last of Us Part 3. I don't think they'd follow Ellie. I think it would just follow Abby and a new character or characters. And I don't think anybody's really going to be interested. I say anybody, don't literally mean that. There'd be some people that would be interested. But I don't think there's many people that would be interested in this. Even with the series sparking some interest, I don't think it would sell well. I mean, might make a profit off of it. It's The Last of Us after all, but I don't think it would sell as well as the second game even. And that had a huge fall off from the first game. Sold like half as much so far. Just reached 10 million copies sold, I think, last year, mid last year. And the first Last of Us game, combined with PS3 and PS4 releases, I don't think this even includes the recent remake, remaster. They call it remake. It's not really a remake, but the recent release, I don't think it even includes that. Sold like 27 million combined. And they haven't even announced a Last of Us 2 remaster for PS5. They might do it eventually, but maybe they don't think it's going to sell well, so they just might not do it. So it's an interesting situation. I don't know if they're going to do a third one. I'd be surprised if they didn't, but maybe they just don't. But let me know what you think about this news. Do you want a season 2? Do you not? Do you want them to just leave it at season 1? And do you think there's going to be a season 3 or a third entry into The Last of Us? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Leave a like on the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Share. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.